Yamcha is a pretty solid rushdown character and doesn't really need any help to do his job, even with his terrible normals. I know you've been hearing the total opposite. Those short-range mediums, weird stand-in heavies, and the lack of a launch and down heavy while airborne prevent the peanut gallery from using day 1 strategies and combos. But just because day 1 gameplay doesn't work, it doesn't mean he's bad. Yamcha's projectiles are unconventional too. While the defensive movement isn't bad, hit confirming a single ki blast is not easy to say the least. Plus his grounded Kamehameha is slower than usual. Movement is where Yamcha is deceptively good in. His Wolf Fang Fist travels quite a bit and the dive kick gets you around real fast. However, the Wolf Fang Fist Flash is the real star here, easily his best attack that travels across the screen quickly. Even his unconventional heavies and ki blast are a benefit here, if used properly that is. Yamcha is definitely one of the more squirrely characters. His most effective tactics are extremely difficult for opponents to deal with, seeing as they're damn near unreactable and leads to a full combo ending with a mix-up on hit. And on block, well, you go into perhaps the easiest self-sustaining block string in the entire game. The peanut gallery will disagree for sure because he can't play him with the generic style. But Yamcha's good, like a real threat good. Like, if his assist was garbage he'd still be good. Let's start with the Wolf Fang Fist, which is false advertising since Yamcha never actually makes a fist at any point during the Wolf Fang Fist. So let's talk about the first sequence. The light version operates exactly how you'd expect. It does 5 hits and each hit scales your combo by 1 with a maximum scaling of 4. The medium version teleports behind your opponent if Yamcha reaches them before the first attack. There's a decently sized gap between the teleport and the attack, so your opponent can counter hit you if they're mashing buttons. Each hit of the medium version does more damage than the light version, but has additional scaling to it. The first hit will scale your combo by 3, and each additional hit by 1 with a maximum of 4 scaling instances. This isn't surprising seeing as all rear entry attacks have additional damage scaling when used as the combo starter. The light version of the second sequence quickly pokes your opponent with 7 hits, and each hit scales by 1. The medium version has a small delay before attacking, which I assume it's to catch those people who think you might slither behind them with special, so it imitates the pause. The medium has 1 additional hit over the light. Each hit has the same damage as the light version though. The light version of the final third hit comes out fast and puts your opponent in a short fallen state. It scales your combo by 1. The medium version is a smash. It's slightly slower but does more damage and causes a slide knockdown. It scales your combo by 1 as well. You can opt to use the final attack instead of your second sequence by pushing forward and the light or medium button. Alright, now for the heavy button. Pushing the heavy button anytime during the first 2 sequences will perform the Wolf Fang Fist Flash, which is a smash attack that will pass through your opponent, popping them up in the air for an easy combo. When pushed before the first hit of the sequence, it'll skip the attacks and go right into the flash immediately. It's important to note if you want to do a rear entry flash, you have to push heavy after Yamcha teleports behind your opponent, or else you're just going to do the flash from the front. When it's a combo starter it scales by 2, and the rear entry version scales by 3. If it's in a combo it scales by 1. If you push the special button during the first or second sequence, you'll slither behind the opponent with the option to continue the sequence. The movement isn't fast enough to continue your combo on hit meterlessly, so it's only used to open up your opponent. Pushing back in the special button causes Yamcha to retreat. You can only use each special movement once in the entire Wolf Fang Fist, and you can arrange them any way you want before the final attack. Quarter Circle Forward and Heavy will automatically go through all 3 sequences and end with the Flash, which will wall bounce allowing for a combo even in open space. This whole auto combo only scales by 1 and the final hit is a smash. The primary use for the meterless Wolf Fang Fist is to provide block pressure and end combos, not start them, thanks to the hefty damage scaling. The heavy version is used at the beginning of a combo when you're trying to go for max damage. And the Wolf Fang Fist Flash as the initial hit is totally acceptable in the long range, and it's even a great mix-up tool up close. We'll get into that later in the video. Oh, and there's 2 weird things about the Wolf Fang Fist. If you use the special button to move behind your opponent before the second sequence, the light version will do an extra hit just like the medium. And if you delay the second sequence, the damage scaling is less. Quarter Circle Back and Attack is your anti-air spin attack, the Gale Claw. The beginning frames have air invulnerability, just like your crouch and heavy, but not as fast. The light version has a fast startup. The medium version doesn't start up as fast, but it moves forward a little and does more damage and counts as a smash, giving you a slide knockdown. The heavy version is just like the medium, but it has a fast startup and does more damage. It'll scale your combo by 1, and the primary usage is in combos. Next is your general purpose, slightly slower than normal, Kamehameha. It scales your combo by 2, which is standard. The primary use is to questionably fight humans at long range when provoked, but outside of Samurai Honor battles, I don't think you really should use it at all. Before moving on, I want to go over Yamcha's level 1 super, or more specifically how to get the ideal slide and knockdown that sets up for wake up pressure or a level 3. Hold up, then push the attack button 3 times, then hold diagonal up forward and push the attack button, then diagonal down back and attack. You'd want to delay all the hits equally to make sure they get high enough, but not too high. If your opponent's too high, they'll tech before touching the ground. But then again, maybe you want them really high. Here's an overview of the attacks you should default to in a general matchup. At the longest range, I go with the Wolf Fang Fist Flash because it's quick, leads to a full combo on hit, and your block string on block. Or guard. Should've said guard. The reason why I side with the Wolf Fang Fist Flash over the Kamehameha is because with the beam, your combo will be considerably less damage on hit, and no block string on block. Guard. On guard. And to top it off, it'll make your opponent more defensive in the neutral, which is exactly the opposite of what I want. I want my opponent to toss out all kinds of projectiles and assist at me, while I surgically use the Wolf Fang Fist Flash. The Kamehameha is safer, but if you're looking for long-range safe attacks, there's other characters that specialize in that. In the mid-range, we have your generic low air dash and heavy and the Wolf Fang Fist. While the Wolf Fang Fist does travel further overall, damage potential is a lot lower because of the scaling. So when you can, go for the air dash and attack due to the meter gain and overall pressure you can apply, but there's no harm in playing it slightly safer and using the Wolf Fang Fist instead. You can still go into your block string if guarded. At close range, we have the stand and light attack, which has more range than the mid-hitting crouch and light attack. And that's why you want to use a stand and light attack. By default, you should assume your opponent will block it, so just go into your block string pressure. And if you see that your opponent got hit, well, just do a crouch and heavy and combo. If you use Yamcha strictly as an anchor, and by anchor I mean assist, this section will mean nothing to you. And for those of you that see value in Yamcha beyond his assist will know that he doesn't easily synergize like the other characters. But that's why we're here. The first column is perhaps the most important, which is the ability to keep your opponent in a block string in open space. Yamcha's Wolf Fang Fist is great for block pressure, especially seeing as it lasts a long time and it jails your opponent. And this will let you know to what degree an assist can keep the pressure going. The second column is what you can get after a Wolf Fang Fist finisher. Granted, you're expecting your opponent to block it, but if they get hit, it's best to make the most of it. You can get 45% with one bar as opposed to 29% solo. This third column shows you who you can do a low juggle extension with and in what order. Normally this isn't too difficult, but Yamcha doesn't have a traditional jump and heavy, so you're gonna have to think outside the box here. Or you can just look to see what I did. The final column is your Dragon Rush extensions, but more accurately it's Yamcha's Gale Claw extensions, which are used the same way in crouch and heavy combos, so this will apply for those as well. This really isn't a big deal since Yamcha can extend Dragon Rushes by himself, but building an extra bar of meter instead of using one makes it worth getting these down. Alright, so that's the gist of the synergy section, so if you don't care about the individual timing, you can skip ahead now. And let's see if I remember to put the time to skip to at the bottom of the screen. Time at the bottom of the screen. Time at the bottom of the screen. Starting with the left column, 1 point is awarded if the assist can keep your opponent grounded and protect you, as in they can't interrupt you with a non-invulnerable attack. 2 points if there's only one gap, and 3 points if it's gapless, meaning that your opponent can't even reflect. Now let's look at the timing chart. The colored border around each character is there so you know how they ranked. I included some of the assists that didn't get any points, and that's because if your opponent doesn't super dash you, it'll keep them grounded and protect you, so it's all based on if your opponent takes risks or not. For clarity, I'm using the light ender, and the follow-up after the assist is a low air dash in medium light, then a grounded light light, crouch in medium medium, blah blah blah. Don't worry, we're gonna go into the details of this block string later on. Let's take a look at some of the unique situations now. Frieza's gapless, but the timing is really strict. Try to time the assist call a frame or so after the impact. Super Saiyan Vegeta is gapless, but his assist counts as a small ki blast so your opponent can reflect or super dash at any time. Therefore, since you can be interrupted, he doesn't even meet the 1 point criteria. However, I'll leave him on the chart because I know you guys are going to use him for this regardless. And I'll do the same for the other assist that super dash ruins. Super Saiyan Goku pushes your opponent too far back to get a jump in medium light, so you're gonna have to use a jump in heavy, followed up by a crouch in light. Also, I was unable to find a block string that allows Goku Black to begin refreshing in time. This is a case where those extra frames he takes to jump out really hurt him. With Bardock, the timing is right when the impact freeze ends from the final attack. The timing with Vegeta Blue is really strict, and if you're too late he won't begin recharging in time for your mediums. Goku Blue has strict timing as well if you want it to be gapless. The ideal timing is to call him out a frame or two after you push the button for the final attack of the Wolf Fang Fist. Kid Buu is gapless, but you have to use a different approach to it. Start off normal, call him out immediately after you push the light button for the second sequence. Don't delay the ender. Then walk back a little, then proceed with your low air dash in medium to light. With Gotenks, start normally, then call him out right after you push the light button for the second sequence. Don't delay your third hit. Then immediately use your stand in heavy for the frame advantage, then go into light light as usual. They can squeeze in and reflect before and after the heavy, but it's not like you don't have ways to make their life hard for trying to reflect. Next we have your extensions after the Wolf Fang Fist finisher. 1 point if you can continue with the jump or super dash, and 2 points if you can get a crouch and heavy smash. With Trunks you gotta quickly dash, then jump with the medium to reach them. It sounds difficult, but it's really not. The Captain can get a crouch and heavy, you just have to use a stand and light first. When using Piccolo, I find it works best to aim for a frame or two before the impact of the last hit of the second sequence. Since your assist doesn't activate till you release the button, this usually helps to make your timing tighter. You have to chase him down with Bardock. Use a stand and light before your crouch and heavy. Zamasu can get a stand and light then crouch and heavy. Just make sure to keep dashing a little longer than normal and you'll be able to get the stand and light. Broly's similar, just dash a little longer than normal and you'll be able to get the crouch and heavy. With Beerus, call him out at or before the final impact of the second sequence, then skip the ender and launch him or whatever you want. Call Vegeta Blue when you push the button for the second sequence, don't delay the ender and get your extension. It's a lot easier to use a super dash, but a crouch and heavy is possible. Gohan can give you an extension if you call him out on the last impact of the second sequence, then skip the ender. Majin Buu gives you a crouch and heavy, you just have to let them fall a little bit before attacking. With Gotenks, call him out a frame or two before the impact of the last hit of the second sequence. Make sure to dash a little longer than normal to catch him with Cell. It seems hard initially, but when you get the timing down it's really not a problem. Moving on to the low juggle extensions. The typical juggle will be a standard double jump with auto combo links that end with a down heavy dive kick, unless stated otherwise. 3 points if you can stand with a regular or super jump follow up, or a stand and attack. 2 points if you have to cancel into your Wolf Fang Fist immediately upon landing to continue the combo. Then of course you just call out your assist on the final hit of the Wolf Fang Fist to continue. And 1 point if you have to super dash immediately upon landing to continue. Yamcha has some recovery when landing from his dive kick, and it can make it hard to continue afterwards. But luckily you can cancel your dive kick landing recovery with a special move, such as the Wolfang Fist or Super Dash. When using a Super Dash to continue, make sure to touch the ground or else you can't double jump again. Furthermore, you can't use a second Super Dash without returning to a neutral state first. So that means if you have 2 assists that require a Super Dash to continue, you're not going to be able to Super Dash a second time since canceling out of Yamcha's dive kick landing recovery does not let you return to neutral. Bleh. Did that make sense? Well, if it didn't, just know that you can't link a 1-point assist into another 1-point assist normally. The 2-point assist can link into anyone since you'll be extending off of the final hit of the Wolfang Fist, and everyone can do that fairly easily. The 3-point assist can continue like normal. Use them first to maximize your damage, so the order of use is from high to low. Vegeta Blue needs to be called out right before your double jump. With Kid Buu, do medium light double jump, medium light dive kick. The timing is to call him out when you push the button for the second medium. Move forward a little to follow up after the assist. Same with Gotenks, do medium light double jump, medium light dive kick. Call him out with the second medium after the double jump. The captain can get a crouch and heavy if you quickly dash and use a standing light first. Piccolo's extension is kinda tough, but after a little bit of practice it's easy. Super Saiyan Goku and Goku Black in open space can get a medium Wolfang Fist. Just wait till your dive kick recovery is done, then do the attack. Quickly tap the assist button when using Bardock and you should get the extension. With Broly, do a quick dash to a standing light to catch him. Delay your follow-up a little when using Majin Buu. As I mentioned at the beginning of this section, Yamcha doesn't need any help to get damage off of a Dragon Rush, but if you have the assist available, there's no reason why you shouldn't use them. And as said before, this is more accurately a Gale Claw extension. 1 point is awarded if the extension is possible in the corner, and 2 points if it's possible in open space. I'm going to quickly show you all the extensions for the assist because there's a lot of variance as to what the follow-up is, and even the assist time in itself. If Yamcha is more than assist to you, you're gonna need a way to pressure your opponent, and that's where your block string comes in. His block string is pretty easy because the natural gap in his stand and medium is perfect to begin refreshing your assist. Delay in the second and third sequences of your Wolf Fang Fist will still completely jail your opponent, and the first column of the assist chart dictates any gaps you have when calling your assist. But your CN now has only one reflect spot at the stand and medium, everything else completely jails. Perhaps the best thing about Yamcha's block string is that if your opponent gets hit for whatever reason, you have all kinds of time to hit confirm into whatever combo of choice, unlike most other block strings. And let's not forget you can also toss in your rear entry flash to get your opponent twisted. Alright, so every Yamcha player needs to know how to properly mix up your opponent with the rear entry flash. The ideal setup is to do whatever into a crouch and medium, then the rear entry flash to nail him in the back, or continue with the stand and medium to hit him in the front. The reason why this is the best setup is because the natural slight delay from your stand and medium is hard to distinguish from the startup animation of your medium Wolf Fang Fist. The stand and medium will hit people who try to attack or jump, but it can be reflected. The rear entry flash beats reflect since they're going to get a forward special instead. However, they can jump out or counter hit you with light attacks, so this mix-up is a legitimate 50-50. But what about going into the Wolf Fang Fist first, then push special to switch sides for the mix-up? Well, I don't advise using it because Yamcha slithering past your opponent is too much of a tell in my opinion. Plus, I'm not a fan of going into the Wolf Fang Fist before the mix-up due to the lack of damage potential from the front. When your opponent respects your block string and mix-up, you can now effectively start randomizing your rear entry. Two of my favorite attempts are off of a jump-in, and right after the stand-in light. You can keep the block string going when using this mix-up too. Granted, it's not airtight if your opponent knows it's coming, but in the heat of a match it's doubtful that your opponent will make the right decisions when used sparingly. You can even use some pretty dirty mix-ups with all the side switching going on. Yamcha at his core is a rushdown 50-50 character with the help of his rear entry flash, so when you score a hit, you're going to want to end the combo in a way to make sure you're close enough to try and force another 50-50 for the kill. And with that in mind, you're going to want to aim for about 50% on each combo so you get a 2 combo kill. So about ending your combos. As you guys probably know, I don't really think slide and knockdowns are everything. I know the peanut gallery lives by them in their 4 combo kills, but I'm more privy to 2 combo kills at the expense of slide and knockdowns, than relying on assist-based pressure and mix-ups as well as your training to win the neutral. Something of which people tend to completely ignore. But in Anchor Yamcha's case, he can't fight well in the long range because his projectiles aren't that good. He can't zone very well because his normals are poop. He just wants to get in there and start swinging, which is exactly the same philosophy as your typical DVFZ player, just with less super dash. So slide and knockdowns are your life in this case. You're either going to end your combos with an airborne medium Gale Claw, a Wolf Fang Fist medium ender, or if needed, a level 1 super. Remember, you don't want things to go back to the neutral, especially since you don't have assist to back up your downtown flashing. The second thing is you want to kill off your opponent with as few combos as possible, so our goal is a 2 combo kill. If you have Spark available, which you should, you can achieve this with less meter to start. And here are some examples. Even though Yamcha doesn't have an ironclad spark and flow chart like Goku Blue, he can still use the usual jump canceling and empty vanishing attacks as alternatives to the rear entry flash. But it's still good to use the flash because if your opponent knows you're just going to be using jumping attacks, they can get you with the crouching heavy. Yamcha is much more than just a good assist. He has arguably the best block string in the game, a top tier mix-up rushdown strategy, and good damage when you venture outside of the day 1 box. Oh, and he's probably the best at punishing assists in this game too. And as always, thanks for watching. I know I probably came off a little aggressive this video, but I generally believe that this game is severely unexplored, but it's like no one even cares. People are way too quick to say a character is bad just because they have to be played differently. Okay, well, I'm just gonna stop now because I can go on and on about this. A special thanks to my supporters on Patreon who voted for Yamcha and deal with my hectic schedule. If you're interested in supporting the channel, the info is in the video description. And for clarity, my supporters on Patreon dictate which characters get videos.